The lake was calm, its surface shimmering like glass under the morning sun. For Daniel, this cabin wasn't just wood and stone, it was a sanctuary built by his late father decades ago, a place filled with memories of fishing trips, bonfires, and long summers with family. But peace never lasts long when an HOA is nearby. Within days of his return, neighbors whispered about Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the homeowners association, who believed every inch of the lakefront belonged under her control. The trouble began when Karen spotted Daniel repairing the cabin's porch. She marched up with a clipboard in hand and declared, "You can't just make changes without HOA approval." Daniel raised an eyebrow, confused. "This cabin isn't part of your HOA," he replied calmly. But Karen smirked. "Oh, you'll find that everything around here falls under my authority." Daniel shrugged it off, but deep down, he sensed a storm brewing. This wasn't about rules, it was about power. And Karen had no idea she was poking the wrong bear. 2 days later, the sound of sirens shattered the lake's silence. Daniel stepped outside to find police cars parked near his driveway. Karen stood proudly at the edge of the lawn, arms folded, lips twisted in satisfaction. "He's trespassing," she told the officers. "This man doesn't even belong here. His cabin violates HOA safety codes, and I demand action." Daniel almost laughed at the absurdity. He handed the officers his deed, clearly showing ownership of the cabin and surrounding land. The officers exchanged looks, awkwardly realizing Karen had wasted their time. One officer muttered, "Ma'am, this isn't an HOA issue." But Karen wouldn't back down. "He's breaking the rules. He's not allowed to live here without our approval." The police left, unimpressed, while Karen stormed off with promises of bigger consequences. Daniel stood on his porch, shaking his head. He knew Karen wouldn't stop. And what she didn't realize was that he held a card more powerful than any rulebook she could wave. Karen escalated her tactics. Letters began appearing in Daniel's mailbox, stamped with the HOA's letterhead. Violation notice, unauthorized structure. Warning, illegal use of property. Each one was more threatening than the last. Neighbors whispered about Karen's obsession. She had fought people over mailbox colors and flower choices before, but never had she faced someone unwilling to bend. Daniel, instead of reacting in anger, started gathering documents. He reviewed county maps, old permits, and a crucial piece of paper most people had forgotten, a legal agreement signed decades ago. The HOA didn't own the dock, the lake access, or even certain permits tied to the community. His father did, and now those rights belonged to him. Daniel realized Karen had been throwing her weight around on land and water she never controlled. The community believed her lies because no one had challenged her before. But now, Daniel was ready. And when the truth came out, the entire HOA would be forced to kneel to reality. The breaking point came when Karen showed up with contractors. Daniel returned from town to find them measuring his dock. Karen barked orders, "Tear it down. This dock violates HOA standards." Daniel's calm voice cut through the chaos. "Step away from my property." Karen spun around, smug. "This dock belongs to the HOA. I have every right to remove it." Daniel pulled out a folder and handed her copies of the original deed. "This dock was built by my father before your HOA even existed. Legally, I own it. And every single water permit your HOA uses to operate must be signed off by me." The contractors froze, unsure who to obey. Karen's face drained of color. Daniel continued, "So the next time your HOA wants to approve fishing, boating, or swimming permits, remember, my signature makes it possible." Karen tried to argue, but the truth had been spoken aloud, and the workers quietly packed up their tools. For the first time, the queen of the HOA had no words. Word spread like wildfire. Neighbors who once feared Karen's wrath now saw her differently. At the next HOA meeting, whispers turned into open questions. "Is it true Daniel owns the dock? Why didn't you tell us he approves permits?" Karen tried to dodge, insisting Daniel forged documents, but the county clerk confirmed the truth. The rights were real, and they were ironclad. Karen's power began to crumble. She had built her authority on fear and intimidation, but Daniel's calm persistence exposed her bluff. Some neighbors even approached Daniel privately. "We're tired of her control. Maybe you can help us restore balance. Daniel wasn't seeking revenge, only fairness. But he also knew Karen wouldn't go down quietly. People like her never did. And when cornered, she would try one last desperate move. Karen filed a lawsuit, claiming Daniel was illegally occupying HOA property. The courtroom buzzed with tension as she strutted in, papers clutched tightly. Her lawyer painted Daniel as a reckless outsider. But when it was Daniel's turn, he didn't need theatrics, he had evidence. He presented the deeds, the original agreements, and letters from the county confirming his ownership of the dock and surrounding permits. The judge examined the papers, raising an eyebrow at Karen. So, the HOA has been enforcing rules on property it doesn't even control? Karen stammered, her face flushed. The judge sighed, leaned back, and delivered the words that silenced the entire courtroom: "This lawsuit is dismissed." And given the misrepresentation, the HOA's authority over these areas is hereby dissolved. Gasps filled the room. Karen's empire had collapsed in an instant. Karen sat frozen as the judge's gavel struck. For years, she had wielded power unchecked, but it all vanished in a single sentence. Daniel walked out of the courtroom with a quiet smile, greeted by grateful neighbors who thanked him for standing up. The lake community was free at last. That evening, Daniel returned to his cabin. The sunset painted the sky in shades of gold, reflecting on the dock his father built. He thought about how close Karen had come to destroying his peace, and how truth had prevailed in the end. He didn't celebrate loudly, but his heart carried a quiet pride. The cabin stood strong, the dock secure, and the lake once again belonged to everyone, not the whims of a self-proclaimed queen, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.